Well, hello again. It's the OhioRAAM Show coming to you from Southwest Ohio. It is, what time is it here? It is 6:12 in the morning here where I'm at Sunday morning. I have people on here from literally around the world. I've had people on this far apart time-wise before, but I don't think I've ever had this kind of spread because I have Team Aussies here, and right now they are located in Germany, where it's a little after noon. We have people in Singapore, where I believe it's a little after 5 in the afternoon, 1700. And we have people in Australia, where it is about a little after 10 p.m. there, or 2200. If I've got those times wrong, it doesn't make any difference, except I had to get up awful early this morning, and my dog is just totally confused. He doesn't understand why I'm not taking him for a walk and why it's still dark out, etc., etc. And he'll probably visit us sometime during this show. So, I'm just rambling on. Let's say that we're sponsored by the first two time stations in Ohio, time stations at Oxford and time station at Blanchester. And we are happy to be a part of the Race Across America. Have been that way ever since they moved time stations to this part of the state, which I believe is about 2009 or thereabouts. And we are there 24 hours a day for you. 24-hour food, 24-hour fuel, and 24-hour fans. So no matter when you come through, we'll be there. And for fans who'd like to come and see the race, we think we offer an ideal location for you here in the Midwest, because not only do we have all of these things set up for you, we have people there that can explain the race to you. They are knowledgeable. They can also tell you not only about the race and how it works, but what's going on at any given time. We appreciate that as well. And I just want to take a moment to say that I am your host, Lee Kreider. This is show number 73, and we have the Aussies on, as I said, at this point spread around the world, and we're glad to have all of you with us here today. And first of all, we're going to go to Singapore, where we have Ned and Matt Locke. How are you guys today?
We're great, Lee. Thank you for having us on your show.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Well, we had you on last spring, but you've changed your configuration a little bit, and we're just tickled to death to do that. So first of all, we call you Ned because your first name, you don't look like a Ned.
I've had the nickname Ned since I was about 3 years old, and I think that came about because people just found it too difficult to pronounce my name. So it's kind of stuck, and it's pretty cool.
And what do you do, Ned, besides ride a bicycle?
At the moment, I'm doing sports and remedial massage, which I quite enjoy. Mind you, I don't give enough massages to my husband, but yeah, it's a great job. It gives me flexibility, and yeah, I really enjoy it.
Okay, well, that was an interesting start. Now, okay, Matt, what do you do besides ride a bicycle?
Well, apparently I don't get enough massages. But certainly, when I'm not riding my bike, I work in a corporate environment. I work for a German company called Dräger. Yeah, I guess in the safety industry is the easy answer. But I certainly, whilst it's a great company and a good job, I thoroughly enjoy riding my bike. Let's say it that way. Unfortunately, I haven't found a way to make a living riding my bike yet.
There's only about 3 or 4 people in the Race Across America that ever figured out how to do that, I think.
That's exactly right, and they're certainly way in front of me, I can tell you that.
And you guys are in Singapore, is that correct?
Yeah, we've been here 2 years now, although I've been with the company in Singapore for about 8 years. But no, it's good. It puts us in a nice warm part of the world, sitting on the equator. Certainly good for a bit of hot and humid training. Although I had the pleasure of riding with Uli out of Stuttgart a couple of months ago, and it reminded me of what it was like growing up in the UK. Great riding, by the way, beautiful, but nonetheless, I had to borrow lots of warm clothes to ride in from Uli. I'd forgotten.
So it's pretty much a tropical climate there, is it?
In Singapore, absolutely. You have wet and dry seasons, but it's consistently 32, 33 plus. And we did a ride yesterday into Malaysia, one of the Audax, 200k Audax, and it was 39, 40 degrees. Not quite so humid, actually, but just baking hot. But we've also got Indonesia. It's only a ferry ride, a 1 hour ferry ride away. So even though Singapore is quite small and flat, we do have some reasonably good training available to us really next door in Indonesia and Malaysia. But it's hot year round, that's the point.
Well, I should say we've had quite an interesting, well, it isn't even winter here yet, but we have had some really cold weather and snow, a little unusual here, but I don't know if you've heard the news around there, but up around the lakes here in the United States, around Buffalo, New York, that's close to Niagara Falls, we have what we call the lake effect, where the cold air or the warm air comes across the lake, picks up moisture, and hits the cold land, and just absolutely drops the snow. And there's people that can't get out of their houses there. They open up the door, and the snow is, covered up their doors. So we haven't had that here in Ohio, but we now have a little warm spell. I think it's up to about 10 degrees here now, centigrade and 50 Fahrenheit. But we had it pretty cold here for a little bit, kind of unusual. But
we heard as well, wasn't it, that even in Hawaii they had sub-zero temperatures there for a
they
little
had
while.
some cold, yes. Apparently there was this typhoon that made its way up the Pacific and got up into the Alaska, and that disturbed the jet stream. And so, well, that's neither here nor there. But let's go to Australia and talk to Theo. How are you today, Theo?
I'm great, Lee. How you going?
It isn't day there; it's night, isn't it?
It's night time. Yeah, it's about it's getting close to about 10:30. So I just got in from Sydney actually tonight. So I was just in and got on the call.
So Theo, we didn't have you on the show the last time because well, you were here, there, or yonder. But tell me a little about yourself and what do you do besides ride a bike?
Oh, ride a bike, run, swim, ride a bike, and apparently we've got to work in between all of that. So I work in the IT industry. So I work in IT, and I manage a bunch of techies, and I commute a fair bit between Melbourne and Sydney. Because we've got our companies in two cities. Yeah, and in between all of that, I love doing our triathlons and endurance events, and yeah, enjoy riding my bike as often as I can, pretty much.
Okay, well, in our swing around the world, or kind of zigzag back and forth, let's go to Ulrich, who is in Stuttgart. Is that correct, Ulrich? Stuttgart, Germany.
Yeah, that's correct. And it's 12:30, 12:20 here at the moment. Beautiful weather. I've been out for a ride, beautiful ride. And I appreciate being here. Thank you very much for the invitation.
And what do you do besides ride a bicycle?
Well, I'm a business consultant and a lecturer. It's all about strategy. Strategy is the topic I'm dealing with, and that's how I met this spring. And he reported about his venture, taking part in RAAM, and I was so excited about that. Followed all the reports, and of course interviewed him later on. And one day he said, "Hey, wouldn't you be interested in joining in?" Yeah, and I gave it some thought. Met Ned as well, and this was convincing as well. So finally I said, well, that's kind of a lifetime opportunity. I'm eager to be with you. And yeah, that's the story. And so it's like with Theo. Since that, I'm on the bike almost every day and try to get ready for it.
Well, very good. Now, down here on the end, we have Dan, about whom there's been a lot of joshing before we went on the air. You're the crew chief, is that right, Dan?
That's right.
And I believe, did you crew for this crowd last year?
Yes, I helped them out this last year.
Tell me a little about yourself. What would you like us to know about you, Dan?
Oh, I'm just pretty average, but what I do for a living, I'm a construction superintendent. I build roads and bridges and things like that, manage the actual works of projects, the outside works of projects, and yeah, keeps me fairly busy.
You know,
And,
I was going to say, Dan, I just looking at you, I said, you just look like a construction superintendent. You put a hard hat on you, and I tell you, yeah, I see you everywhere. You just have that look about you. Well, you guys were in the race last year. We had you had Sarah Matthews with you last year, and she's formed a female team this year. I had her on the show a little while ago. And so you brought Ulrich on board. What did you learn last year that you're going to apply this year? Anything that you're going to do different, do better?
Well, the aim is to do it better, of course. I mean, just to be clear, we had a blast last year. We really did. It was our debut event, and we loved it for all the highs and lows that it brings with it. I think the two key lessons learned, let's say, were to do with sleep and food, both of which we knew were going to be a challenge. We'd been given lots of very good advice by lots of very kind people, but in particular Steve Berveling, who's making a recovery at the moment. Good for you, Steve. Looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks. What we've decided to change on the sleep front is to not take an RV with us. That's one of the key changes. So have three of the Dodge Caravan type vehicles, but no RV. So we're going to try and use motels and also sleep in the back of the Grand Caravans for sure, the Dodge Caravans. And the other major change is to not try and cater for ourselves on the road. So we're going to use, we'll carry some food, of course, but predominantly use truck stops, restaurants, and so on. We found that very, very useful this year in the second half of the week, and it just is one less dynamic for the crew, who were absolutely wonderful. Just one less dynamic for them to have to think about. So I think sleep and food were the two major topics.
Now, Ned, I think you had a bit of a challenge last year, didn't you? You had a little bit of an accident or something. What went on?
I did. Yeah, I did, Lee. I was coming into Tuba City and I hit a pothole at about 33 kilometres an hour, and
39.
I think it was about 46 kilometres an hour. And,
That's better.
that's kidding. Who am I kidding?
It gets faster all the time, doesn't it?
And I went over my handlebars, and I literally went face forward into the asphalt. And so I was taken by my crew to the Tuba City Regional Hospital, and which was quite an experience. I must say that I received excellent care. But I managed to break 3 fingers, have 12 stitches in the bottom of my lip and 3 in my top lip. So, yes, it was I guess, something that I wasn't counting on. I wasn't, thinking that I was ever going to crash. But, yeah, I couldn't actually wait to get back on the bike, to be honest. But, I was told that I needed to have at least 8 hours off, and my very dear husband took on both of our rotations, which was nice, and I had great support from the crew and from the other riders, and yeah, and I've healed quite well. So, but yeah, it was a bit of a shock, I think.
Absolutely.
Well, you look like you healed quite well.
I don't plan to crash next year, though, Lee. This year.
You're not going to do that again?
No, I don't plan to. No, but
never say never, right?
Yeah.
It's like my grandson who got a car. He said I was talking about getting insurance for it, and he said, "Well, I don't plan to have an accident," and that's why they call them accidents.
That's
but
right.
Ned, I think I saw a picture of you at the pinnacle of your distress, and you sure did look like you were boogered up pretty good.
I was. I sometimes look back at the photos, and there's one photo in particular when Matt and Theo rode up Wolf Creek Pass, and we got out of the RV, and everybody was taking photos, and I remember I had the RAM beanie on my head, and my face was all plastered up, and I look exactly like a beaten up Smurf.
So you were able to get back on the bicycle and continue to pull your shifts, as I understand.
Yeah, I did, and as I said, I had great support from the crew and the other riders, and I remember just before I got back on the bike, I was thinking, oh, I don't have a helmet, and Sarah at the time, her brother and her father was over visiting, and they went to the local sports store and bought me a new bike helmet, which was very nice of them. So I was able to continue. But I had a great race. It was a fantastic experience, and I don't think I would have changed anything despite the fact that I had a crash. It's character building, and apparently guys dig scars. I don't know.
It was I've got to say, it was one of the sort of main events where you can have all the planning in the world, and that's where the crew chief and the crew, and certainly in this case the other riders, everyone just has to stop and think and work out a different plan, because we hadn't planned for that. And certainly Sarah and Theo in that case, they pulled a really long shift while we were at the hospital through the night. I think we caught back up with them as day was breaking in Utah, yeah. And I mean, they'd literally ridden through the night, which was wonderful. But the crew as well. I mean, the flexibility, thinking on the feet, was just awesome, to be honest. And Dan was, whilst not crew chief last year, was a key part of that whole process. And yeah, certainly looking forward to this year, Dan. Hopefully, we don't have so many dramas. Let's say.
I must say that Dan was almost a second dad to me during RAM, and that's why I love him so much. He did put up with a lot of my shit fits, but I think he forgave me at the end of the race.
I remember works that hard has to be forgiven.
Well, Dan, they give you a lot of grief before we went on the air, but now they're saying such nice things about you now that everybody's out there listening. What did you learn last year that you're going to put into practice this year?
It's just about where would I start with what I learnt. It's something completely different to what I'd ever had anything to do with. But I guess the thing for me was the endurance of the athletes overall, and the pleasure they get out of torturing themselves. It seems it's a little bit hard for me to figure out, but they get a buzz out of it, so we just got to do our best to let it happen. But no, it was the learning. You could do that race maybe 4 or 5 times before you had it really organised. I feel we're going to change a lot, and we will be a lot better organised, more organised. I think we'll look after the riders a lot better and the crew a lot better this time. But it's just part of the learning deal. And I really hope that we can do a lot better time-wise. I think we will. I'm sure we will.
Okay. Theo, what did you learn last year that you're going to do different or put into practice this year?
More food.
Yeah, that's what we said under our breath.
More food needs to come along.
Well, that's a simple, straightforward answer.
What I realised was you just can't run out of food. You just got to make sure you cater enough to get you through those days and nights. And I think the nights are the most difficult when you do your rotations. I think when you come in at night, most people are tired, and there's no food at night time. So you just got to make sure we've done enough prep to make sure. I think we're changing the way we're doing it this year, so it'll be a little bit different, and it'll have its own challenges. But finding diners that will be open 24 hours. So we've got to make sure we've got enough food with us to get us through, because you don't want to bonk on the road.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Before we get back to Ulrich there, I just
well, you do, but
I wanted to say something, Ned. I think that hospital there in Tuba City, I think they just automatically add staff for the week that the Race Across America is coming through, because they seem to catch it there for some reason. So that I imagine they just say, "Oh my goodness, they're coming through again. We better get some more help in here."
Oh, definitely. In fact, the night that I was admitted into the emergency room, there was a gentleman beside me who had crashed 50 meters away from where I had a crash. And I think I came off better than him. He had a broken collarbone and a couple of broken ribs, so he was definitely out of the race. But, I felt very sorry for him, but I was pretty pleased that I myself could get back on the bike. But yeah, I think they did have a lot more staff on, and they were definitely talking about the Race Across America. But as I said, I received excellent care from all the doctors and the nurses at Tuba City. I can't speak highly enough of them. They were brilliant.
Okay, well, I just wanted to get that little chip in. Ulrich, you've heard all about this. What do you think? You got any idea what you're up against?
Well, I don't know whether you can say that you are up to it after or before you have done it. But of course, I listen closely to my fellow riders and all the stories. Bought all the videos available of other teams having done it. Read books like Hell on Two Wheels and so on and so forth. So I think I have an idea.
Well, listen, we want to wish all of you people well. We're just so tickled to have you on here again. It just seems like Australia is starting to present us with an awful lot of racers here on the Race Across America. If you guys could just keep from crashing or staying safe out there. And you mentioned Steven Berbeling. We wish him a recovery. He popped in on the show here a while back, and we put a little excerpt up of him. He's just so determined, and we appreciate that a great deal. Let's just go down the line here, and before we close the show up and see who has any final thoughts. Ned, before we go, what have you got to tell us?
Look, I'm just really excited about racing again. I think there's lots of parts about the race that we did last year that I can't really remember. When we talk about it and we say, oh, do you remember seeing such and such? And I say, no. So I think that I'm going to keep my eyes really open and take all the sights in. And I'm really also looking forward to riding with Theo. Make sure you keep that Dodge Caravan nice and clean, Theo. and I'm really excited to be riding again with my husband, and also with Uli. I think we're just going to have such a great time, and I'm really thrilled that Dan's on board again as crew chief, because you know, he showed such strength, and what else did he show?
Compassion.
Compassion, definitely, and he really kept his head about himself when things weren't going so great. So I think we're really lucky to have the team that we have, and the crew chief that we have. So I'm really excited about it. Can't wait.
And Matt, your final words.
Oh, well, certainly still on the Dan topic. I have to say, Dan is. I've been asked to describe Dan a couple of times, and I've tried to describe him as Dan is one of those good, solid Aussie guys who can fix anything. Doesn't matter what it is. If it breaks, he can mend it, including people and their minds. But no, I agree with everything Ned said. Honestly speaking, I'm so excited about the event this year. For all of the things we learned from last year and all of the things we will learn about this year, I have no doubt. Super excited, great team, great crew, and certainly this year I won't be riding in a pair with my wife. She'll be paired up with Theo, and I have the pleasure and privilege of riding with Uli, and looking forward very much to that.
Okay, and Theo, what's your last words for us?
Look, for me, it's looking forward to getting back out there, and I think Ned hit part of it on hit it on the head. It is soaking in a little bit more of the country and some of that scenery that we ride through, that I think is just a blur, and you just look back through the photos and think, wow, did we actually ride through there?
Yeah.
But I think, you know, a big thing, I'm looking forward to riding with Ned, and of course for the as they say, those little shit fits, they're looking forward to those. Can't wait. And there's going to be some special ones, because the Dodge is not going to be clean. And most importantly, looking forward to having Dan back on board, and as the crew chief. And I think Matt summed it up. He can fix anything. I think a highlight was when we did get a flat tire in the middle of, I don't know where. I didn't even think twice. They just they ripped out a page of the route guide, and they said, keep riding and we'll come and find you. And I didn't even think twice. I knew that it would get the tire fixed quickly, and they would have came and found me in the right rotation time. And to his credit, with 2 minutes to spare, they found me. So it was great.
Yeah, well, you know, I remember reading about an old sea captain who used to spend nights on the bridge planning for what might happen, and somebody asked him, did any of those things ever happen? He said, no, they didn't. But because I had a plan for what might happen, I had a plan for what did happen. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. All right, Ulrich, what final words have you got for us coming there from Germany?
Well, I find it reassuring that the hospitals in the US seem to be aware of the race by now, and that they are increasing staff. So that's good news. Well, I'm very much looking forward to be racing with the team, and you all got an idea of the team. So could there be a better team? I'm very much looking forward to be part of it.
Well, Dan, you certainly, you either got a lot of kudos tonight or had a lot of responsibility laid on you one way or the other. Seems like everybody thinks you're just a cat's meow. What words have we got? What words of wisdom do we have for you here while we're closing up?
Well, I just think that we probably had the easy part of the job to keep these guys right. What I'm just looking forward to it again, and not having the mistakes that we'd had last time, not having the wee surprises that we had last time, and it's really, we've just got to make it as easy as we can on these guys riding the bikes, and eliminate the little bugger ups. Ned won't fall off again. She's hurt herself once. She won't do that again. and hopefully we'll come through unscathed. Really liking it. Somebody said last year at the end of the race, you'll either love or hate people. Well, I was very inspired by the people that were on the team, and really look forward to doing it again. I really do, and hopefully it'll go like clockwork. I don't like surprises. I'm a bit like you see, Captain.
Okay, and before we went on the air, and maybe you want to say something about this, Matt, I believe you have a video coming up that's going to be available.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, it's fitting. A good friend of ours, Aussie Mike, who's based in LA, he does it for a living, amongst other things, and he's very kindly prepared a very professional sizzle reel based on some footage and photos from this year's event. So I guess in the show notes, maybe we can put a link to it if that's okay. We'd appreciate it, and it gives a really good picture about the adventures of last year. And we've even got an Aussie band who we've put the music to with it. So if we can put that in the show notes, that would be great.
Yeah, that will be in the show notes. It'll be on the OhioRAAMShow.com. And we want to thank all you people for being here with us. The Aussies 4.0, I'm not sure what 4.0 means there, but I guess it's reconstituted. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And what a nice group of people you are. We just enjoy having you on the show so much. And we will put, this show will be airing on about the 7th of February, if everything goes well here on this end of things. And down below where you see the video, if you're on the OhioRAAMShow.com website when you're watching it, you will see a link to their video. If you're watching it on YouTube, or if you're watching it on some other site that has the playlist up, you'll have to go to the OhioRAAMShow.com and click on the show notes there. You'll also have a link there, guys, to your Facebook page as well. I want to thank all of you for being with us here tonight. We appreciate that a great deal. I did see you go through Blanchester last year. I don't know who was riding. I think maybe it was Theo. I shouted at you, but I'm telling you, whoever it was just a blur. And I know
was Theo.
Yeah. We understand. We at the time stations understand that you've got other agenda than stopping and talking to us. But a lot of times you do, and we appreciate that as well. So we wish you the very best, and we'll try to keep in touch with you and see how things are going here for you. Now, as we close down here, we want to talk a little bit about the OhioRAAMShow.com, what you can find there. There's a place there where you can send your comments in. We appreciate that. And there's also a place if you'd like to have notifications of when shows are being posted. You can give us your email. It won't go any further than us. We won't use it for any other purposes. And we also appreciate it a lot when you help us when we post on Facebook to give us a like or a share. A share really boosts our audience a great deal. And on Google Plus, if you give us a plus there. If you see us on Twitter, you can give us a reshare there, or what they call a retweet, I guess. That helps the show a lot. And of course, the only purpose of the show is to enhance and advance the knowledge and people's awareness of ultra racing in general and of the race across America in particular. We thank all of you for watching once again. We thank these guys for being here with us. You are a great bunch, and you obviously have a lot of fun. And we'll be looking forward to seeing you here in Ohio come next June. Goodbye.
Thank you.